I first got into like big time debt in 2015. I mean, I thought I would carry this debt into like my 40s. I'm actually in charge for the first time. There's something about physically seeing your wealth. Kind of makes me feel like a lady pirate. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. This is very different than like the book reviews and like reading vlogs and that type of thing that I normally do. But I felt recently like I really need to make a video like this because I'm getting to a point in my life where I'm actually starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of like debt and feeling really secure financially. And so if anything, this video is not supposed to be like financial advice or anything like that, but I am going to take you guys through some of the things that I've been doing over the course of the last 7 years. I just want this video to be a way for you guys to feel inspired. I know what it's like to be in like 5-figure debt and feel like it's very crushing. And I mean, I thought I would carry this debt into like my 40s even, you know, and it looks like I'm hopefully not even going to carry it into my 30s. I'm 29 right now, so depending on how everything goes with the one-time debt relief that the Biden-Harris administration has proposed, depending on how all that goes, I'm technically debt-free right now. So yes, if anything, I want this video to make you guys feel empowered. If you're struggling with, you've got like student loans, credit cards, your car payment, whatever it is, I know what it's like. And I really want to talk in this video especially about your emotions, being in debt and how that makes you feel and how we can kind of turn that around, because that's the biggest thing for me that I think has been the change. So let's get into it. One of the books that I recommend is Money and the Law of Attraction. I just finished this one. This is definitely more tuned into your emotions and how you feel about your finances and how you feel about money. This is very different than your traditional personal finance book. This is not going to be back in the business section of the bookstore like, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad or a book like that might be. This is going to be in like the body, mind, spirit, self-help section of the bookstore. And I will get into more details about this. I just want to bring it up first thing because I am going to reference it a couple of times in the video. So the first thing that I want to talk about that is, I would say, the most important and the hardest one to learn is having an abundance mindset. There are a million videos on YouTube that you can watch. I will link one below that I just watched recently that Bria Jones did. I will link her video below. She talks all about like the process of like writing down these limiting beliefs that you have and then rewriting that story. All of that sort of self-talk can really influence your financial life. And this Law of Attraction book talks a lot, mostly about your mindset. In fact, I was kind of surprised there's only one chapter in here that talks about actual like money and finances. All the other ones are just about like learning to kind of like master your thoughts and catch negative thoughts right when you're having them, and then learning how to flip that story and reach for a better feeling, more positive thought, and how that can literally change how you feel in that moment. So therefore it can change your day, and therefore it can, over time, if you extrapolate that out, could change your life. Any limiting beliefs that you have around money, and this one for sure, I realized I had a lot of them, is one that you're just gonna have to face. Like I said, it's gonna be the hardest one, but I recommend so I'm looking at my notes right now, get a journal, write down things that you believe that are negative about money. One of the ones that I used to think a lot and still do, I mean, this is something I'm still working on, is that there's an imbalance. There's not enough to go around. This idea that like the millionaires and the billionaires are sucking everything up and there's not enough for the rest of us. There's enough to go around, because we have seen, especially like with YouTube is a perfect example, we've seen people's channels literally grow and blow up overnight, and they can become millionaires like overnight. Like, we are living in a world where there is abundance. Now, the way that we live, particularly in America, under a capitalist system, keeps things very separated by like class. I mean, that's a whole other discussion. Something else that I would think about was you know, if you get to a certain point where you have so much money, like you do become a multimillionaire or a billionaire, you automatically become evil. You see a lot of these millionaires doing some really nasty things with their money. I really had to confront those beliefs, because something that the book talks about is like, if you are saying money is evil, the universe, God, source, energy, whatever term you want to use, is not going to allow that into your life, because you're actively repelling it by saying that it's evil. It's like saying you don't want it. A quote that I really like, I don't know if she said it, but Sorelle Moore here on YouTube, she said, money is not evil. Money amplifies the person that you are in your heart already. So naturally, whatever's already in your heart, you're gonna spill out more into the world once you have all this financial abundance. This whole abundance mindset kind of ties into my next point, which is to know your numbers. And what I mean by know your numbers is do not be afraid to check your bank account. Do not be afraid to know exactly the amount of debt that you are in, like down to the cent. You need to know those things. If you're gonna make any kind of budget or debt payoff kind of plan for yourself, you have to know the numbers. And for years I avoided it. I first got into like big time debt in 2015. I was technically a junior in college because I went to like community college for a couple of years for free. For years, I made the minimum payment. I started paying right away too. That's another thing. Even if you just have like a part-time job that almost pays you nothing, which I know that may not work for you depending on how rigorous your schedule, like your school schedule is, but if you can pay all the bills that you have along with starting to pay on your loans immediately, do it. Most of the time, they start calculating your interest as soon as you take out the loan. Most of the times, they will let you wait to start paying, but they're still calculating interest for that year or 2 or 4 or however long you're in school for. Also, if you can, and I get everybody's situation is different, pay more than the minimum payment for the love of all that is holy. The minimum payment is designed to keep you in debt for as long as possible. The entire time that you're still paying those minimum payments, again, interest is accruing. Over time, over the years that you will have them, that's gonna be hundreds, most likely thousands of dollars. I would essentially do a double payment. Now, I had a very unique situation. Honestly, it's not that unique. I think I've read that a lot of students after graduating actually moved back home, and that was what I did. So when I graduated in 2017, I moved back home, didn't have rent, didn't have a lot of bills, so I was able to make double payments. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I know not everybody has that luxury, but if you can, even if it's not a full double payment, even if it's literally $10 extra a month, anything extra that you can put on that loan, you need to be doing. The main reason why it's good to know your numbers is because it makes it less scary. It will turn it into this tangible thing so that you can start calculating your debt payoff and you can kind of work your way backwards from there. Kind of going along with that, make sure you are budgeting what you're spending every month. You're tracking your expenses at the end of every month. This was something, again, for years I just didn't do. It was just before I knew anything about personal finance because they don't teach you this stuff in school. I remember kind of realizing for the first time when you kind of add up all of your numbers at the end of the month being like, oh, I spent $300 on clothes this month, okay. And you need to kind of start to reprioritize your life. That is a big one. My next point goes along with that. You need to get creative with your spending, or rather learning how to spend less to put more on your loans. For me, this is like when a new book comes out, a lot of times I will try to find an audiobook on Libby for free, try to find it at my local library first, see if anybody's read it and already put up like a thrifted copy on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. I say get creative, it's not that difficult to find like a used version of something. Thrifting, that's been obviously a hugely popular thing, kind of a shift in the fashion world. If clothes and shoes and that kind of thing is your vice, set a challenge for yourself and only buy thrifted clothes from Depop for a month. Definitely recommend identifying where you're overspending. Maybe it's like your Starbucks coffee and you think,
oh, it's only like $4 or $5, like once or twice a week.
But if you do the math and multiply that out to see what you would be spending at the end of the year, it usually is a lot more than what you think it is. So this next part is not a sponsorship, but I have to mention it because it's completely changed my mindset around my personal finances, and that was switching banks. So I now bank with SoFi. Again, not a sponsorship. I just genuinely love using the app. The like local bank that I was using before, I was just there putting my money there because that's where like my mom first opened my account when I was like, I don't know, 16 or whatever. So very recently here, just in the past couple of months, I was doing research. By research, I mean watching a lot of YouTube reviews on different banks that have really good interest rates, like high yield savings accounts, because I wanted to get serious about it. Like I'm finally getting to a point, like I said, where I feel like I'm kind of on a roll and I'm able to save more and getting out of debt. So I was like, this bank isn't doing anything for me, and for the second time, my debit card had been compromised. I didn't even call the bank because I knew the process. I knew they were gonna call me in and say, yeah, you need to get a new debit card. I was gonna have to go to the bank and sit down and they were gonna have to print me one off. You know, I had just done it. So I just locked the card and I haven't used it since. And I switched everything over to SoFi because I was like, this shouldn't be how it is. So I made the switch. And if you use direct deposit on SoFi, the savings rate that they give you, the APY, annual percent yield, is 3.75 right now, which is like one of the highest. I don't know what the national average is. It's very low, whatever it is. I also love just how the app works. They give you like little incentives for like logging in every day and checking your statement, and like you can earn like little points and then redeem them. I'll put my referral code below if you guys want. No pressure to use it, but I do genuinely love all the functions. Like, it works so much better. It's so much like smoother than my old bank. Their app was really clunky and outdated. If you guys are interested, I do recommend it because I feel like I'm actually in charge for the first time. And I didn't have that feeling of control before, and I'm kind of a control freak. You can ask my boyfriend, he knows. Like, I really like feeling like I'm in control, and I am with this bank. Another thing I want to touch on is this concept of mental spending, like mentally spending money, but not actually spending money. So this requires a certain level of restraint. If you are very impulsive, this may not work for you. But something that they mention in this book, and they've mentioned it in other Law of Attraction books before, is to carry around a $100 bill in your wallet. And anytime you're out and you see something that you like, spend it. Like, know that you could buy that thing. Like, it's totally within your power because you have the $100 bill sitting in your wallet, right? But don't actually spend it. Mentally spend that $100 bill hundreds, thousands of times. And it can kind of get you out of this very limited way of thinking. Like, if you feel stuck, if you feel broke, if that's something that you say a lot and think a lot, you need to change that limiting belief. So something that you can do, and it may not be $100. You may be like, I don't have $100 in my account to spend. It may only be like 10, 20 bucks, like whatever it is. Put the cash actually in your wallet and leave it there to stay. Like, know that you're not actually gonna spend it, or this entire thing is not gonna work for you. Mentally spend that money until you start to feel less tense and less broke, and you start to feel a little bit lighter, because it's all about your emotions. It is all about the way that you feel. If the Law of Attraction books have taught me anything, it's just all about your emotions. It's all about how you feel and what vibe you're putting out into the world, because that's gonna come back to you. Another thing you can do, and I'm not doing this to like brag or like be showy and look at me, if you have a little bit of extra cash to invest in something like gold or silver, which typically beats inflation, so it's always good to have a little bit of your money in precious metals. Keep it on you. Like, keep it, hold it, let it make you feel like, yes, this is physical wealth. I earned this. I'm worthy of this. Like, whatever you need to tell yourself to get yourself out of a rut and out of this like, oh, I'm so broke kind of mentality. This is something that can do that for you. I keep them in all different places so that they can't all be stolen at the same time if something like that were to happen. I mean, just the sound, you know, kind of makes me feel like a lady pirate. There's something about physically seeing your wealth that is very nice, and it will definitely change the way that you think about money. And I do want to just briefly note, I do recognize my privilege. I've been very blessed in many ways in life. I was like middle class, like lower middle class growing up. We did have to live with my great grandmother at one point in time, but like, I never went hungry. My parents saved up and bought me a car for my 16th birthday. Like, I have lived a very privileged life. So I want to make that little disclaimer, because I don't want anybody watching this video and feeling bad. I've definitely watched videos like this before and just been like kind of consuming that content from a really unconscious place and just comparing myself instead of actually like taking notes and using what they were saying to like improve my life. We are all in different socioeconomic, you know, places in life, so make sure you are not comparing, because the comparison game will literally rot your mind. Wherever you were last year, just try to be better this year and be even better next year. Something you can do if you're still feeling really stuck and you're like, how do I just change my mentality magically? Like, how do I unlearn all these beliefs? Something that I read in this book that I really liked, one of the analogies that they used was, Think of money coming in and going out of your life like the tide. So if you've ever seen an ocean, even if you've never been to the ocean before, and you've seen, especially like if you've seen a time lapse of the tide coming in and out, it's constant, right? Like literally the tide comes in and the tide goes out, and the tide comes in and the tide goes out, right? So think of money like that, because that's what it will be for the rest of your life. So something you can consciously do to practice this is a breath in is money flowing in. That was a really shallow breath. A breath in is money coming into your life, and a breath out is money leaving. And it can kind of alleviate that, like if you're feeling that urge like to cling on to every little thing that you have and you don't want to spend, and you're being like you're kind of being like a tide, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to be that way either. Anything that makes you feel any kind of tension isn't gonna help you. So if you can, like, as easily as you breathe in and out, think of money flowing in and out of your life as easily as the breath coming in to your lungs and leaving. The breath coming into your lungs and leaving. Money comes in, I make money. Money goes out, I spend money. Anything you can do to change your mindset and the way that you feel, you're actually gonna start to see change in your life, in my opinion. Then a quick note on credit, because again, we live in a system where things like credit, this imaginary number that we kind of hold ourselves to, it's a thing that exists that is often very hard to earn and keep and very easy to lose. For example, I paid my car off here very recently. I haven't even received my lien release yet in the mail. Like, that's how recently we paid it off. Again, I understand I'm coming from a privileged place. Like, not everybody would have had a partner who was like willing and able to pay off half the thousands that I still owed. All of that to say, you know, you can earn credit. I'm talking about how you helped pay off my car.
Oh,
Why'd you do it? Because you wanted me to be debt-free.
you get stuff done.
You get stuff done, that's right. We get stuff done. It's a good mindset to have. Any wisdom you want to impart? Any financial advice?
No.
Okay. Bye. Love you.
Love you.
What was I saying? Credit? Yes, credit. So it is very easy to lose points even when you do something good. Like, in my mind, paying off debt is good, right? But in the system that we're living in, the government, whatever authority you want to name, wants us to be in debt, right? That's why we are constantly advertised to. We do feel a need to like fill a void that really I think is a spiritual void, not anything that like a material object can fix or fill. And this book talks about don't be a collector of things, don't be a collector of stuff. Which is kind of funny, the more I become financially free and the less money that I have to give every month back to the government and, you know, back to like my loan servicers, the less I want to spend. Like, you would think what I thought was going to happen was like, oh, I got to watch myself, because now the money that was going out, I'm going to want to buy like new fancy clothes, and like I'm going to want to build like a big library for myself. The more you become financially secure, the more you realize the importance of saving and investing. That's what I'm learning. After paying my loan off, my credit score went down. That's the system that we're living in. So a way to build your credit, obviously, credit cards, right? Now, before you say anything, please be mindful. And this is why I don't have a credit card, because I don't know that I'm quite ready yet mentally to have a credit card and know that I'm not going to charge unnecessary things that I don't need. I want to make sure that I'm going to be in control and the credit isn't going to be in control of me. So I don't want to speak too much about credit cards because I don't have one. There is a lot of information online about how to use them properly, and I am kind of still in the process of doing research. I know Graham Stephan has a really good video on his channel, and I will link it, where he talks about how to use them responsibly. So like, basically never use your full credit limit. So if that credit card company gives you $500 credit limit, don't charge $500 worth of goods every month. And then once you've got good standing credit and you're making on-time payments and you're not actually being charged any interest, because that's where they get you and that's how people get in the hole and get into even more debt, definitely do research first. Make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. The only way for me to actively be building credit at this point, since I don't have any loans I'm actively paying on, is to get a credit card and make on-time payments every month. I feel confident now that I'm actually doing research and like understanding how they work, to be able to get one and know that I'm not going to get myself into trouble. All right, guys, this is the end. That was everything I'm pretty sure that I wanted to share with you. If you are interested in this type of video, let me know, and I'll keep you updated with some of the things that I was talking about today. I would say the biggest takeaway is to change your mindset. Start writing down those beliefs that you have that aren't helping you. Again, this book will definitely help with that, or any of the Law of Attraction books. I find them really useful. Definitely need kind of an open mind if you are new to these types of books, because they can be a little bit kind of woo-woo out there for some people. So you gotta keep an open mind. But I know that you can get there, because if I can do it, you can do it. But you are gonna have to change your mindset, because it will literally change your life. Don't keep scrolling. Don't just go and watch another video just like this. Actually sit down with a piece of paper and do the work, because I have fallen into that trap before. You guys can do it. You can implement all of these things. It's all about changing your mindset, having an abundance mindset, catching your negative thoughts, turning them into positive thoughts. I wish you guys the best of luck. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.